A very long time ago, I did a video talking about modern music released in the 2010s that was on the Billboard Hot 100. I looked at the top 10 and used that to evaluate if modern popular music was good or bad, and came to the conclusion that modern popular music is pretty mediocre slash bad. Just not a lot of good songs like in the top 10. But I wanted to do the same kind of deal for the 80s because this is the decade, the 80s, it's the opposite case where everyone says modern music today sucks. And people say music from the 80s was just amazing. And so I'm going to look at the top 10 songs for 1 week in the 80s and use that to criticize or evaluate the entirety of the hit songs of the 80s. I know it's not very scientific, but it was fun last time, and so it might be fun this time. But first, a word from the old Mac from 2022 explaining how the scoring slash rating system works, which I will use to evaluate if this is a good decade for music. Take it away.
All right, let me break that down. So this is going to be a rating system where I'm going to give each song a evaluation. That evaluation will either be great, it'll be good, or it'll be okay or fine, and then it'll be bad. So there's 4 different scores, and I'm going to give a different point value to each of these possible grades, each of these possible scores. All right, so here's the math. I suck at math. Best score, if I give something a great, it's going to be worth 4 points. That's plus 4 points on the overall point counter. If the song is good, it gets 2 points on the point counter. If it's fine or okay, I don't feel passionately, positively, or negatively, it's going to be a 0. It's not going to add or detract from the overall score. And if that song is bad, I am giving it negative 2 points. What this is going to mean, I have not done the math yet. I don't know what's going to end. I haven't even looked at the Billboard top 10 songs yet. You're going to get my honest reaction. But what this means is that if the top score is going to be 40, so we have 40 to 30 points, it's a really amazing decade for music. That means all the songs are either good or great. I mean, that would be really impressive. If we get 20 to 30 points, that's a really solid decade for music. Like, popular music is pretty good if we're getting 20 to 30 points. That means there's going to be some great songs and a lot of good songs. If we get 10 to 20 points, then it's all right. There's going to be some stinkers and there's going to be some good songs, maybe even some great songs, but it's not a particularly good, popular music isn't particularly good music that's popular now. 0 to 10 points, and kind of underwhelming. It's kind of bad, where I don't feel passionately about nearly anything. And then of course, if we get 0 or anything in the negative, then it's modern music is horrible. Like, we're in the dark ages. We're in the dark ages of music, and please kill me now.
Wow, that was really boring and really informative. With that being said, let's take a look at one random week from the 80s and evaluate the greatness, goodness, or badness of the top 10 songs on the Hot 100 chart. We are looking at the week of August 25th in 1984, an iconic year, and the number 1 song is Ghostbusters by, what is this guy's name, bro? What is the author's name? Ray Parker Jr., of course. A song that I actually do know. Ghostbusters is a bop. Like, one of the hardest movie theme songs, bro. It's a movie theme song, and it goes so crazy. The lines are iconic. It's about busting ghosts, of course, and it's an iconic track. I mean, it's so much fun. The synthesizers go crazy, goes hard in the paint. Song is a banger. It's great. That's 4 points on the board. Sitting here at number 2 is What's Love Got to Do with It by Tina Turner. I'm not entirely familiar with it. We will listen to the song, refresh our memory, And I'm sure I've heard this one before. It sounds very familiar, just the title of the song and the artist. So I will listen and get back to you. That is interesting. That was an interesting experience. Gets a little weird, gets a little funky kind of sounding with the little sound effects and everything. It was fun. It was a good song. It was a little bit groovy, a little bit kind of a jazzy kind of vibe to it. Some pretty nice vocals too. I wasn't expecting those kind of vocals either. That was kind of surprising. I really do not know Tina Turner at all. This is also the decade of music I'm the least familiar with, which is the other reason I'm doing this. But this was a good one. I enjoyed this song. I thought it was cool. Next up, we have the song Stuck on You by Lionel Richie, another artist I'm really not familiar with. I don't know if I've heard this song before. Maybe I have. Maybe I'm being ignorant. I'll go ahead and listen and we'll see where it stands. That was Smooth as Butter, Stuck on You, Lionel Richie. I have never heard this song before. I don't know if that's crazy. I really just don't know. I'm so ignorant about the 80s. It's a paint by numbers, I guess, smooth R&B track. Really buttery vocals, smooth delivery, smooth music, very soothing, very calming. I will say many times that like my least favorite genre of music, my two least favorite genres are metal and R&B. Kind of funny, kind of two random, very different genres. But this is nice. This is the type of R&B music I do like. Just smooth, calming. It was a good track. That's plus 2 points on the counter. Next up, When Doves Cry by Prince. This is the artist that I am the most familiar with that we're talking about so far in this video. I have listened to most of the Prince albums, I think, at some point. I did my research on Prince because I wanted to be educated because people love this guy. They love his music. And so I have listened to a decent amount of Prince, but I don't remember this song off the top of my head. So I will listen, come back. You know what? That really did not work for me. I don't know. I was not a huge fan of that, TBH. It was very long. It's a very long track. It just kind of went on and on and on. The vocals, I guess, are good. It definitely wasn't bad. The music was pretty quirky. It was pretty weird. It was very sensual lyrics. This is the kind of R&B music that doesn't work for me. It's very upbeat, and it just didn't really have a lot of. It didn't have like a lot of groove to it, at least for me. I've enjoyed a lot of Prince music in the past, but this is just not one that I've really enjoyed. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it is gonna have to sit at a meh for me. It just didn't really do anything for me. Next up, I've never even heard of this artist before. This is the first artist we've run into that I'm not familiar with at all. John Waite. I don't know who John Waite is, and this track is called Missing You. Once again, not really doing anything for me. It sounds like the most generic version of an 80s song that I can imagine. Like, the hook is very mediocre. It just sounds very paint by numbers. It really isn't just... And once again, it's not bad. Like, it's pleasant enough while it's on. I really can't, I can't say it's a bad song. It's a hit. I'm not saying that there aren't bad songs which become hits, but it's definitely not a bad song. It's just one that kind of fails to give me any reason to think it's interesting or to come back to it. It's, the hook I think is kind of weak, but, the vocals aren't bad. The music isn't bad. It's just kind of meh. Next up, another artist I'm not familiar with. This is Dan Hartman. I Can Dream About You. I'm going to have to listen, figure this out. I'm not familiar with this track. Maybe it's a good one. Okay, so it turns out Dan Hartman is not a legendary artist. He's like a one-hit wonder. It looks like this is his only hit song, and it's from the movie Streets of Fire, which is kind of a cult classic kind of movie that had a hit soundtrack. At least this song, I think the song was made for the movie. I could be wrong, or it was at least popularized because of the movie. So that's pretty interesting. We got two movies. We got Ghostbusters and I Can Dream About You. Anyway, the song is a banger. Very repetitive. The hook is great. Vocals are great. A lot of energy. It's a pop song. It's a great pop song. Man, I love a great pop song. This is a great track. It's easily +4. This is a great track. Happy to add this to the score for these top 10 songs. Next, we have State of Shock by the Jacksons. The Jacksons, is that like Jackson 5? Is that like, is Michael Jackson in this band? I don't know. I'm not very smart. I don't know much about 80s. Let's find out. Thoughts on this one are a little bit mixed. First, I love that bass line, bro. I love that, like, repeating guitar lick. It sounds crazy, and it, like, repeats the entire song. Really cool. Mick Jagger duet with Michael Jackson. This is Michael Jackson, of course. And his brothers, I guess, are also in the band. But, wow. Song is groovy. Goes on way too long. And I'm not saying that because I'm TikTok brain. It literally, it just does nowhere to go. Like, the song is cool, but it would be cooler if it was like 2.5 minutes long, as opposed to 4 minutes, where they start just sort of ad-libbing for the last minute, because there's nothing going on. There's no verse or anything. It's just kind of them messing around. Song is too long. It doesn't have any momentum. It sounds really cool, but it just overstays its welcome. It's a good track, though. It honestly has a lot going for it. It sounds really cool. Some cool instrumentation. Like I said, that bass line, that guitar lick, it's sick. But it just kind of keeps going. So, it was a good one. I don't know this one. Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart. I can't say that I'm familiar with Corey Hart. Maybe he's another one-hit wonder. Just not a name I'm familiar with. Let's check out this track and see if it's any good. This one is a hit. I actually have heard this before. It's featured in Stranger Things and Nope, so this has been featured pretty recently in fairly recent media. Song is a banger. That synth line is crazy. The vocals are crazy. It's a long song. It's always kind of doing stuff. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's my favorite song so far out of this. And actually, the only other song I was already familiar with, this one, and of course, the Ghostbusters theme song. But this is my favorite song we talked about so far. It's great. This is a hit. This is a banger. She Bop by Cyndi Lauper. Only Cyndi Lauper song I'm really familiar with. I mean, there's two. I don't remember the name of the other one. But Girls Just Want to Have Fun is, of course, a banger. So I'm hoping that this is a good one. I really do love that song. She has another song that I really like, but I don't remember the name of it. But here we go. She Bop. Let's see how this one holds up. Very unsurprisingly, She Bop is indeed a certified bop. That beat is really cool. I really like kind of the electronic-y kind of like little synthy thing that gets swirled around throughout the song and repeated. The whistling was kind of cool. The vocals are kind of cool. It's got the energy. Lyrically, I don't think it has much going for it, but the music is really cool. The production is cool. I don't know about the writing, but it's a fun song. It was enjoyable. It's a good one. Last song, here we go. This is number 10. If Ever You're in My Arms Again by Peabo Bryson. Not familiar with the song, not familiar with the artist, so I don't know. Let's give it a shot. Apologies if anybody really likes this song. Once again, it doesn't sound bad at all, but it is pretty flavorless. It sounds like the most generic pop R&B from the 80s, like, imaginable. And I think in general, I've already kind of indicated that I'm biased against the 80s, but this is just a sound that to me is just generic. It's overdone, slightly annoying. It's definitely not bad. Lyrically, it's fine. Musically, it's not bad. It's just a sleepy song, and the Lionel Richie song was much better. So I'm going to say it's meh. I cannot call it bad. It's definitely not a bad track. Very inoffensive. Just not personally doing much for me. When adding up the scores for this week, August 25th of 1984, these hit songs, the songs that were permeating the radio and just all over the place at the time, you come to a total score with 3 kind of mediocre songs or meh songs, a couple good ones, and 3 great ones. You're going to come out to a score of 20 out of a max score of 40 if all 10 songs were great. 20, that is twice as high as the score I got for the hit songs from the 2020s. That is, wow, twice as high. The majority of these songs were good. I mean, these are songs I would be happy if I heard like most of these songs on the radio. Yes, some of these ones I rated meh might become quite annoying to me. Even some of the ones I said were good might get annoying, like State of Shock if I heard it over and over and over again. But in general, you know, and this is just a first listen for me for most of these songs, they were good. These are some good songs and some really great ones. Some really fun ones. Sunglasses at Night, that song from Streets of Fire, and of course, the Ghostbusters theme song, dude. Like, what can I say? The 80s was solid. You know, in the 20 to 30 point range, that's solid. That's, you know, most of the songs are good. That's the consensus we're getting here. No real stinkers here, just a couple ones that weren't super strong, but no real stinkers. Feel like I learned a lot today. Got to put a little more respect on top 40 radio in the 80s, just because, just given this little experiment, this little analysis of 10 little songs, it looks like it was a better decade for hit music, at least for popular music, mainstream music, than the 2020s are. A lot more mediocre stuff getting played and on people's iPhones than was getting played on the radio in the 80s. So, yeah, I guess I stand corrected, and good music.